You're watching Meet the Movie Press, and coming up, we're going to be talking about The Last Jedi trailer, Josh Brolin as Cable, Dolph Lundgren in Aquaman, the animated Spider-Man movie, Jude Law as Young Dumbledore, so much. Stay tuned.
Welcome to Popcorn Talk, featuring movie discussion, news, and interviews. Popcorn Talk, we talk movies. And now, here's Popcorn Talk's Meet the Movie Press.
Good morning, good morning, good morning.
Good morning. Well, that just happened. Something big just dropped.
It sure did. And we have to talk about it immediately.
Okay,
I'm Jeff
go.
Sneider, editor-in-chief of the Tracking Board, tracking-board.com. Add it to your bookmark. Subscribe to the newsletter. Simon.
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at ShowbizSimon. You can find me on Facebook. This is Simon Thompson. And I stink of meat today. I went for a barbecue meal last night. BBQ. And literally, I have meat coming out of my pores. So
I can smell it.
if
I feel like
stink
we're taping in
brisket,
Austin.
I apologize for that.
I want to eat you. This morning, minutes ago, Simon and I just huddled up together.
We did. It was cozy.
We spooned. And we watched The Last Jedi trailer.
Yes.
Star Wars The Last Jedi broke this morning out of Star Wars Celebration.
You know that at Celebration,
Orlando.
they're literally having to wipe down the seats. People will have been literally peeing
I wonder how many
their
times they're
pants.
showing it in a row there.
Oh, God, you can just
Like,
imagine.
let's watch it again.
It's like a one massive nerdgasm.
What'd you think? Did you? I mean, it looked pretty fucking cool.
Yeah, it does look pretty cool. I mean, it's understated. I mean, it had what you would expect: bit of action, bit of melodrama, a quotable line. What's the one at the end? Time for the Jedi to end. Got all the.
Felt a little bit more classic.
It did
Actually,
yeah.
than Seven.
It felt more canon as far as the other Star Wars movies do. I think it's taken itself a little bit perhaps more seriously, and I think it's going to break away from obviously Force Awakens was basically New Hope updated. I'm genuinely excited about it, and I think we're going to start to see the brains in Star Wars with this, like we did in Rogue One.
I really like the use of red against like a stark white backdrop in
it
the trailer.
looks beautiful.
Oh, yes, they spent enough money, but
£12.
Ryan Johnson, man, this guy has come a long way.
Yeah.
I remember when he came to NYU when I was there, and he brought Brick to show us kids, and it has been remarkable to see what he has gone on to. I love the poster. You can almost feel his influence on the poster. It's very clean
Again,
and beautiful.
very classic, very simple and classic.
With Luke facing off against Adam Driver.
Yeah.
And then it looked like Daisy in the middle. I'm excited for The Last Jedi. I'm still don't think I'm converted yet on these films.
Okay.
But I think that of all of the filmmakers that have contributed to this recent round of movies, Ryan Johnson is the one I'm really a believer in.
He's always had a great eye, though. I mean, really simplistic but very effective visuals. I'm genuinely really looking forward to it as a movie and not just a Star Wars movie.
Yeah.
Which I think is great. Do you want to actually take a look at the trailer? I think we can actually do that today, which is pretty cool.
Oh man, okay.
Let's take a little look. It's coming up.
I'm assuming that this trailer has been approved for all audiences.
Light. Darkness. A balance. It's so much bigger. It's time for the Jedi.
spoiler. That looks pretty fucking cool.
It does, doesn't it?
Disney knows how to give good trailer.
It's seriously, I mean, it's beautifully cut as well. I mean, just the visuals and the atmosphere, and I like the fact that, thank God, they haven't given too much away.
Well, yes.
Because sometimes
there's
you do
still
get that in
plenty
trailers.
of mystery surrounding this movie. Oscar Isaac looked fucking awesome there, running alongside BB-8.
And can I just say, I really want... Obviously, this is going to happen. But when trailers like this drop, there is so much analysis of the trailers, frame by frame. What are the things? What are this? What does this mean? What does that mean? I don't want to know too much about that movie. I do want to go in and just have the spectacle. Have another hand moment where it's like, what the fuck? I do want to go in there.
Save that for later. We've got plenty of
Yeah.
time for you to bust out the Kevin Hart impression.
He was in my neighborhood this week.
Really?
Kevin Hart dropped by
Where-
Barnes and Noble at the Grove.
Is that where you live?
I do. I'm homeless. I live in the Grove. I live by the dumpsters.
In the children's book aisle.
Yeah, I do. Reading Go the Fuck to Sleep. Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Well, that'll do it for The Last Jedi, because I know my mom's watching this, and she just can't take it.
No,
she
is it
just
too
can't,
much?
She can't take this Star Wars talk. So instead, let's talk about like 7 comic book movies in a
You
row.
know she's rewatching the trailer. You know she is.
This week, the mystery was finally solved. After much speculation, Josh Brolin has
Yeah.
been cast as Cable in Deadpool 2. According to the Hollywood Reporter, it is a 4-picture deal, which is,
Wow.
what I had heard had sort of hamstrung the chances of other actors. They didn't want to commit to a long-term sort of thing.
Sure.
Josh Brolin obviously plays Thanos
Because Pierce
already in the
Brosnan
MCU.
is busy. Clearly. He doesn't have any time on his hands.
But so what did you feel? What did you think about Josh Brolin?
Great casting.
What did you feel about it?
What do you feel?
What did you think?
I genuinely was. I think it's not an exciting casting for me, but I think he'll absolutely nail it. I mean, the minute that it broke, I was like, I can really see that, and that's going to be fun to watch. I mean, I'm a big fan of his work. I mean, I loved him in Hail Caesar. I thought he was brilliant in Hail Caesar. I think he's going to bring the physicality to it that I think you need for Cable, and I think he can handle a little bit of humor as well, very deftly. So I'm genuinely looking for, and I think he'll work really well with Ryan.
Yeah,
As well. I think it'll be a really nice pairing on screen.
I'm imagining like the Josh Brolin sort of from Death Proof.
Yeah.
Or from Grindhouse, I guess it was.
Yeah, yeah.
Because it was really Planet Terror. But I think he's good casting. I knew that they wanted a star. I knew that they weren't going to go out on a limb.
But he's not too big a star, though.
No, he's a star. Come on. I mean, he's the lead in movies.
He is.
Whether it's No Country or Gangster Squad or
Yeah.
So I do feel like they went the movie star route instead of like the Stephen Lang.
But he's
route.
not like household name. Everybody
Everybody knows who Josh Brolin
Well,
is.
I
He grew up in.
But if you step out from the filmiverse, I think there are people that they know him and they like him in movies, but he's not like a George Clooney or a Brad Pitt or
no, he's not. No,
He's
obviously
not a movie star. I mean, I think he's a movie star, but he's not a movie star, capital M, capital S, for the man on the street.
And that's fair. But
Yeah.
I would have actually liked to have seen this role go to someone who we don't see very often. We get a healthy dose of Josh Brolin, it feels like, each year. So in that sense, it is a little unexciting, as you said. It's a little safe and boring.
And I don't mean that in a
But
in
I still
bad
think
way.
he will be good.
Yeah. Oh, he'll absolutely nail
Yeah,
it.
I just would have liked to have I feel like this role could have gone to a whole number of older actors and it would have been like crazy, like Ed Harris or something like that.
Yeah. I love how we
Anyways,
refer to Josh Brolin as old. One of these old actors.
I mean he's not old, but how
Yeah.
old do you think he is? 45, 50?
Yeah, 45. Could do a Google.
We do have computers.
Hey,
in front
today's
of us.
birthday's Josh Brolin.
So I think this was THR that broke this. They beat Ryan Reynolds, who always likes to tweet out the news.
He does.
He's had like funny graphics.
Well, that's
accompanying
how we were
them.
told recently. We were going to find out who was going to be Cable. It was Ryan was going to break it on Instagram.
Right,
And that just
Boris scooped him.
didn't happen.
But I have to say, I was proud of my team that we decided to steer clear of the Michael Shannon and the David Harbour rumors. Like, at a certain point,
Yeah.
I do feel like it became a guessing game of sorts. I know that I had thrown Kyle Chandler out there very early on, but that was
Yeah.
before the project even had a director. That was just like producer wish list stuff. Him
And also
him
Steven
and
as well.
Davis.
Steven from Avatar.
Stephen Lang.
Yeah,
right.
Stephen Lang,
all
yeah.
those names were sort of like wish list sort of things that
All would have been great choices as well. They all would
sure,
have
but
been really
but
good.
that was before there was even a director on the project, and obviously he was going to have a big hand in
Yeah,
things.
yeah.
And there was a switch on the in directors. Anyways, Josh Brolin is Cable. Does it bother you at all? Does it matter that he already has a place in the MCU?
No.
Yeah.
He's an
Because it's
actor.
not a real.
He's an actor. He does...
It's a mocap voice role, but his face is not on screen.
No, absolutely.
So I don't really see the conflict there.
No, I totally didn't cause me any issues with that whatsoever.
In the other corner of the MCU, Shemeek Moore and Liev Schreiber
Yeah,
are going to
I
be
saw this.
voicing the leads in animated Spider-Man. Shemeek Moore is going to be voicing Miles Morales.
Yeah.
Liev Schreiber is going to be voicing an unknown villain. Pretty cool casting, I think. I mean, Liev Schreiber has one of those, amazing voices. He does the inside, is it Inside the NFL or it's at Hard Knocks? I forget which one. It's one of those HBO shows. I'm totally blanking. But he has, this great voice. And Shemeek Moore, I can totally see him as Miles
I mean,
Morales.
I love him as an actor anyway. I mean, pretty much everything he does, even if he's in not a great movie, I just really enjoy watching him.
And he already played, Sabretooth
Yeah,
in Wolverine,
that's
right?
correct. Yeah. Didn't come back for that one.
No.
He
and
was
if I-
badass. He was really badass.
Yeah, no, I think he'll make a really good villain. I'm actually strangely looking forward to this animated Spider-Man movie, which comes from Lord and Miller. Now, I know I said that Ice Cube was going to voice Miles Morales' father.
You did, just a couple of
obviously
weeks
there
ago,
was a
yeah.
Lord and Miller connection there with the 21 Jump Street movies.
yep.
I'm now being told that is not going to work out.
Okay.
I don't
What,
know.
scheduling reasons or?
I don't know why, because it's a voice role and it's like it seems like pretty easy money. But regardless, it's like I got the Liev Schreiber and Ice Cube names back in February.
Okay.
And I came on this show and I just decided to say Ice Cube instead of Liev Schreiber. I could have rumored them both. I could have rumored Liev instead of Ice Cube. I just figured Ice Cube was the deal that was more likely to make.
Yeah.
Given his history with Lord and Miller and all that. And Liev has a TV show and everything. So it's just luck of the draw.
Yeah. Also, Hollywood changes.
Yeah.
know.
But it's like I'm trying to explain, since this is Meet the Movie Press, like my rationale into putting something like that out there. I feel like Ice Cube gives all of his news to Deadline, to Mike Fleming at Deadline. I just figured I had a longer shot of legitimately breaking that, which is why I said it on here. Whereas Liev, I thought I actually stood a chance to get that. Obviously, instead it was slipped into a Shemeek Moore announcement. It wasn't even like the lead over it at Hollywood Reporter. So it was just an interesting way that I am looking at movie news in the course of a given day.
No, absolutely.
We had over at Marvel's crosstown rival,
Yes.
in DC.
The Dukkha.
Yeah, we've got. It was a relatively slow week over there, but there was one awesome announcement.
Yeah.
What was
I was
it, Simon?
Very excited about this. Dolph Lundgren. Which means he can't do Expendables 4.
Right. Which Sly has already walked away from. Bummer.
Man. Yeah, so he's going to play one of the villains in the
King
Aquaman
Nereus?
movie.
Is that it? Is that how
I
you
think
pronounce
that's
it?
how you pronounce it. I
have no idea.
Not really up on my sub-Aqua
So
bad
I,
guys.
The way that it was positioned, and again, I think this was also Hollywood Reporter. Boris was on a roll this very short week. By the way, a quick note on that. I love that Hollywood was off for Monday and Tuesday with the Jewish holidays.
Passover,
there were,
yeah.
there were no deals going down. Yesterday, I emailed Warner Brothers at 4:00. The studio had already shut down for Easter weekend.
One of the few studios that actually is shutting down for Easter.
Right, so Thursday, it seemed like it was a half day on
Yeah.
Thursday for Warner Brothers employees. So all this news that we're talking about today hit on Wednesday and Thursday morning. It was like a crazy day
Let's
and a
get it
half
all out.
of fucking wild announcements.
A lot of deals being done that day.
So anyways, Dolph Lundgren, the way that it was positioned is that he is sort of a romantic rival for Mara.
I believe so, yeah.
A rival of Aquaman for Mara's affections. He feels like he owns Mara in a sense, or that she belongs to him, and he is, trying to kill Aquaman or whatever. So I had described him in a tweet as he's going to be playing one of the villains.
Yeah.
But director James Wan, God bless him,
J-Dubs.
yeah, he corrected me, and he said that he's not quite a villain.
Okay.
I mean, a romantic rival, I guess, wouldn't really be a villain. And we also don't know how big this part is.
Sure.
But cool to see Dolph Lundgren being in a huge studio movie.
I will take any opportunity to see Dolph Lundgren back on the big screen. I mean, aside from the fact that I just really enjoy him as an actor, he does a lot of shit. A lot of his straight-to-DVD stuff
Ivan
is
Drago's
well below
a classic character, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I genuinely enjoy... I mean, still, for me, Master of the Universe is a terrible film, but a massive guilty pleasure for me. He still has the He-Man.
Exactly. That's what I was just about to say. Yeah. He still has this, like, buff physique, and he's a good-looking guy, and he's a very smart guy by all accounts, too.
He's a very smart guy, yeah. He's an astrophysicist.
Is he? Really?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I think he's a cool addition to Aquaman. That definitely bumps up the cool factor on that one.
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of indifferent towards Aquaman. I mean, Jason Momoa, great.
This is the one that puts it over the top for you?
Not many people say Dolph Lundgren is the one that pushes me over the top, but yeah, I'm now on board with this.
Well,
he's going to be awesome.
Nicole Kidman is his mother, right?
Yeah.
First of all, that... to me, that's when I started thinking, wow, this cast is really something.
Yeah, I was excited by that, but for me, that was kind of like when they cast Rene Russo in Thor. Mm-hmm. I was like, great, but that's like character actor, female role, doing her thing, might not be a big part. I was like, she's going to do an excellent job.
They wanted her for what she was in negotiations for Wonder Woman's mother at one point.
Yeah.
So now she's Aquaman's mother.
Yeah, so I'm kind of like, Dolph Lundgren.
But that makes sense, given it with the Australia thing.
That is true.
Anyways.
That is true.
Aquaman just getting cooler. And then another, I mean, God, so much franchise news. Jude Law cast as Young Dumbledore. That was our pal Justin Kroll over at Variety, beating the release by mere minutes.
He's been the first choice for that role for quite a while, though.
Yeah.
Is what I'm hearing.
Oh, really?
He's been the go-to guy for quite a while on that. There were some other people in, sort of, they were looking at as Plan B and Plan C, but he's been the guy that they wanted for about a year now. So.
No, I don't, all due respect to J.K. Rowling, I don't pay attention to this franchise. So I can't say whether I like it or not because I didn't really know Dumbledore. I don't know what would make a good young Dumbledore. So I'm gonna cede the floor to you. Like, are you a fan of this casting?
Am I a Harry Potter fan? I would probably say not a massive fan. I do enjoy the movies. I can take or leave them. I did enjoy Fantastic Beasts, but I do like Jude Law, and like Colin Farrell, he's having a few roles at the moment, Young Pope, etc., where we're actually getting to see Jude Law, really sort of do his acting chops rather than just being attractive male tentpole star. I'm genuinely, interested in seeing this. For me, it balances out that Johnny Depp element from Fantastic Beasts, where, I was like, oh, fuck, Johnny Depp again doing kooky character. This, to me, is kind of like the Ezra Miller kind of level of casting, interesting stuff where you were going to see someone with gravitas. And I think from Dumbledore as a character being one of the, the lovey, one of the actor roles in the Harry Potter stuff, we're going to get to see him do something really interesting, I think. And I like watching Jude Law. I think he's great.
I do see. I'm just happy for Jude Law because I like him too.
Yeah.
And there were plenty of funny young Pope,
so
young
I think
Dumbledore.
We're going to see some of the gravitas that we saw in the Harry Potter movies coming through.
What I thought was interesting is just that Warner Brothers loves this guy.
Yeah, very much. Yeah,
he's in King Arthur coming up. Contagion. They really gave started his career pretty much with like. I know he had Talented Mr. Ripley, but then he did AI, where he was the robot, the male prostitute or whatever. Anyways,
but no, I'm genuinely like, yeah, I'm on board with that.
When's he going to do a fucking superhero movie?
I don't know.
That's coming. That day is definitely coming, my friends.
Yeah, I mean, he would. Would you want him as a goodie or a baddie? I think he'd make a really kick-ass villain.
Yeah,
I would love to see him play. He would make a brilliant Lex Luthor.
You think so?
I think he'd be a brilliant Lex Luthor. I mean, I'm assuming that Jesse Eisenberg is not coming back.
What about the Riddler?
Ooh. Yeah. I would be on board for that.
Let's move this along.
So you can see some blogs saying, you look in the running for the Riddler.
You pick what's next.
Okay, let's talk about Labrynth spin-off. Is it a spin-off or is it a reboot?
I didn't understand that, actually, that language.
I've read different things. Some people are saying it's a spin-off. Some people are saying it's a reboot of the original film. Obviously, classic movie.
It's just another world set in the Labyrinth, I guess. I mean,
I would assume so.
I mean, does that make it a sequel?
Labyrinth is a classic, but it's a slightly flawed movie. I watched it again recently on a plane. I do really enjoy that movie. I don't want to see them redo that. I would be very interested in seeing within that world. It's a huge world. Lots of characters
I
in there.
have no idea, what the plan is for this really, but Fede Alvarez is now at the helm.
Yes,
and
it's
that's
Sony,
cool
I believe.
because I really
This, yeah.
liked Don't Breathe, and Sony's a big believer in this guy. Sometimes you kind of have to sink your hooks into a filmmaker, and it seems like Sony is doing that with Fede.
And again, I think he's one of those simplistic directors where the visual and the tension and stuff are very, very simple, but very, very effective. So he won't over-egg it.
Right,
I think
he's
it'll be
doing
the
the
right
next
balance.
Lisbeth Salander movie.
He is, yeah. What's
in
that?
the Spider's Web.
Spider's Web, yeah.
So, they're big believers in him, and I think he's a strong fit for the material. I mean, there's a certain darkness to his stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to see them revisit the characters from the original movie. I would like to see something different. I don't want to see a new Goblin King. I don't think you can touch David Bowie.
Back in the day, this was at Variety, and this was like fucking years ago, 5 or 6 years ago or something. I don't even remember. But I had heard Alexander Skarsgård for the Goblin King.
Okay, I could buy that.
He has
actually.
that lean, huge, giant physique.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Fassbender, he's available.
He could kind of pull off Bowie hair. I don't know.
He could do.
He could.
He could do. He can do anything.
That Alexander Skarsgård.
But I would rather see something a new strand. But don't ever ask Jennifer about the Labyrinth. She hates talking about that.
Did you make the mistake of bringing that up with her?
I made the mistake of asking her about it. It was for that terrible Ron Howard comedy that she did with like Vince Vaughn and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, that was
awful.
Not good with Kevin James, right?
Yeah, and I asked about Labyrinth then, and she really doesn't like talking about Labyrinth. It was a long time ago.
I like Channing Tatum in that movie, by the way.
Yeah,
I can't even remember the movie that we're even talking about.
There are many plus points about that film. But what was it called? It was.
Shit.
Well, basically, that would have been a good title for it. Shit. Yeah, it was not a great.
The Dilemma.
Yes. There was no dilemma about whether you should see that film. No, you shouldn't.
What a title for a comedy.
Yeah, it was not good. It wasn't funny.
You know what sounds funny?
What does sound funny?
Night School starring Kevin Hart.
Kevin Hart. Did I mention he was in my neighborhood this week?
Yes, you did. You did. Did you talk to him? Like
I didn't. I did think
you just
about.
Like pointed him.
I was actually no. That'd be terrible.
I don't understand.
No, I did think though. I mean, I was living. I live not far away from there,
and you saw him. It wasn't like you saw him like in a magazine. Like, oh yeah.
No. He was doing like a FaceTime, a Facebook Live thing. And I did think I was working from home that day, and I was like, I might go down to the Grove. And I went, no, that's really weird.
Yeah, that would be a little creepy.
Yeah.
But he would probably appreciate your impression.
He would. I'm sure he would love that.
I'm sure you can improvise some dialogue off this log line. Night School, based on an idea by Kevin Hart that he co-wrote with his band of merry men.
Correct.
He's going to be playing a guy who goes to night school to try to get his GED. Him in a band of misfits.
I did, first of all, when I heard it was Night School, I was like, is that Night with a K? Is it a sequel to the terrible Martin Lawrence movie?
I knew where you were going with that. Night school, I don't think I've ever had to go to night school besides when I was studying to get my license.
Well, I've never been to night school.
It sounds like fertile ground for shenanigans.
It could be like Fist Fight, but good.
What's interesting to me about this was that Kevin Hart obviously did the Ride Along franchise with Tim Story, who's going to do this movie, and producer Will Packer.
Tim does comedy very, very well.
Right, so he did that with Ice Cube. He did Central Intelligence with The Rock. This doesn't seem to be a two-hander in the same vein. Like, he is definitely going to be the star front and center, and the other band of misfits will be his supporting cast, his entourage, if you will. Even The Wedding Ringer, he was with Josh Gad. Like, I wonder if they will get a comedic equal for him in this film, or he can just take it alone. That's what I
would like to see him play off a dry female.
Him and Kate McKinnon would be great.
Yeah. Kate McKinnon. There's... Oh, God. Now doing the movie... Gillian...
Jacobs?
Yeah.
Okay.
I would.
Well, that's very Community, I feel like.
A little bit.
Yeah.
But they'd play really well together because she is brilliantly sardonic.
I like her on Love.
Yeah, true.
Okay, so we're not getting any Kevin Hart. We're not going to get any improvised, like, I'm in night school.
Where's my book? Where my pants? Bitch stole my pants.
But also, we're talking... That's all I've got. I'm sure he'd be genuinely a little bit offended if I did that. Impressed.
No, listen,
I didn't get in night school. Am I like that with armor?
You,
Where's the Rock?
You do it out of love.
I do. It's an affectionate.
Yeah. To be clear,
I wouldn't do it to his face. Maybe I should though. He might find it quite funny.
we love Kevin Hart and we
do.
love The Rock on this
We
show.
do. And talking of The Rock,
There's more. I don't even have Rock news on my
well,
shit.
it turned up on Jungle Cruise at Disney the other day.
What? You mean the production thing? Like it's going to start production in a few months?
Well, I guess so. He turned up basically, you know, the
Boris.
Jungle Cruise ride at Disney. He basically turned up as like one of the
he
impromptu
turned
skippers.
up. Oh, I see. Well,
Yeah.
yeah, because he's doing the movie.
Jungle
I
Cruise
get it.
movie. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about the story itself, where I was like, okay.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool though. How psyched would you be if you were at Disney and then all of a sudden The Rock turns up and captains your ship? It's not a euphemism, but
Hey, Dwayne, you can captain my ship.
it's not a euphemism.
not a euphemism. That's pretty awesome.
That does sound like a lot of fun.
I'm a little bit worried that he's doing a lot of these sort of family-friendly movies. I do like him when he's being, you know,
You want to see like badass,
badass.
R-rated Rock.
Yeah, I do enjoy that, and I'm just a little bit like he does a spate of these movies every now and again
Because
to
The
keep
Rock
those
is for
family-
everyone.
I want
The
it
Rock
just for me. Though.
Well, I mean, Baywatches are.
yeah, true. Looking forward to that.
Restricted. That is not for the kids.
No, I might be interviewing him actually next weekend. He's in LA, so I might be having a little chat with him. I could do my Kevin Hart impression for him.
Yeah, I
See if he gets really offended and punches me in the face.
No, I think
He'd love it.
He would.
He would love it,
He's
Dwayne.
Yeah, he's the man.
He's a bit of a laugh.
Okay.
Coming to America sequel.
Oh yeah.
Hello. Did not expect that news. I thought it was like from The Onion this week when I read that.
Yeah, I had sort of heard about it a couple weeks ago, and finally got the confirmation yesterday. It happened to be the day after Charlie Murphy died. And it's the story is that the original writers and people. I got plenty of shit yesterday because these guys, like the original writers, didn't they steal this from Art Buchwald? Like, how can he be coming back to write the script? He's dead.
Yeah.
Barry Blaustein, David Sheffield are coming back. They have closed a deal at Paramount to write a sequel for Coming to America.
I don't know where they can take this.
Really? Because I actually was thinking, and okay, before I begin, let me put forth a blasphemous opinion, whereas that I think Coming to America is overrated.
Take that back.
I know.
It's a great movie. It's a great movie.
I think I saw it when I was too young, and maybe a lot of the jokes went over my head. So maybe it is definitely worth going back and,
I would revisit that.
reassessing.
Yeah.
But based on my one viewing as a 14-year-old, I did not love
when
the
you
movie.
knew nothing, clearly.
Yes, I was just a budding little movie squirt. Anyways, I think that there's ripe, fertile ground for this, given America's stance on immigration and that kind of stuff, and foreigners, and like I don't know. Imagine like Borat.
Yes.
If like I don't know,
Like a black
a black Borat with Eddie Murphy.
Do you think he'll do all the characters in the barbershop and stuff again?
Rocky Marciano.
I
Marciano.
have no idea, but I can actually see this somehow working. The movie, by the way, the movie in 1988 made like $288 million, which I didn't even bother to convert that, but that's like a lot of money. That's like a $400 million comedy.
It was a big hit.
Yeah, and it couldn't have cost much, so I think it makes sense.
Do you think they'll bring back Arsenio Hall? He's
That
available.
I don't know about. I don't know about any
available.
of that supporting cast, to be honest. I mean, you would think that they would have to, like...
James Earl Jones? You'd have to bring back James Earl Jones.
How could you not? How could you not? But as far as I know, it is being developed with Eddie. So the interesting thing was, after doing a little bit of research yesterday, Eddie tweeted out something a few weeks ago, teasing a sort of Coming to America sequel. Where he like put a photo up, and people were asking all these questions, and then he claimed that his account had been hacked, and deleted not just the tweet but the entire account. He left the service after the uproar that this tease caused, and then TMZ of all places did some digging and confirmed with sources close to Eddie that he is working on a sequel.
Okay.
That they actually said that he was writing a sequel. I'm sure he has a hand. I'm sure he's working with David and Barry, who are like 65, 70 years old, by the way.
He gets very involved in these projects.
Yeah. I mean, no, he's worked closely with these guys for years. Nutty Professor, Boomerang. So they all go way back. And yeah, Eddie has his team they've closed the deal. So I imagine, why would you bring those guys on to write if it wasn't for Eddie? You know, he's going to be coming back.
What do you think the chances are of Kevin Hart getting on board? I would like to
Dude,
see
Eddie Murphy, Kevin Hart team up would be fucking amazing.
Yeah, right.
Yep. That brilliant. I mean, I hope Paramount watches this.
Just saying. I mean, if you're looking for Kevin, he's at the Grove a lot. Turns out.
Anyways,
So,
but
stalk him there.
So I take it you're familiar, and we have to read our ad soon. But I take it you're familiar with Black Twitter.
I am. Yes.
Dude, Black Twitter had a field day with this news yesterday. Like, I'm still getting notification alerts. It's been a gigantic story, which is pretty funny considering the story's about a writing assignment essentially.
Yeah.
for two 7-year-old white
The film
guys.
has such a huge following.
Yeah.
Such a huge following.
Yeah, that's what I learned yesterday. Like,
also, I still
it
believe-
means a lot, especially to the black community.
Yeah. Well, also, Eddie Murphy is, there's still a hunger for his stuff. He just hasn't had a lot of projects, and obviously Mr. Church didn't really hit the mark. I think
it didn't.
people are desperate for Eddie Murphy to come back and do what he does
We would
best,
all
which
love
is, comedy like this. I think it's great.
All right, let's get into it
yes.
with Blue Apron.
So one of the reasons that we can do this show is the fact that we have sponsors, which is absolutely fantastic. They invest in this and they invest in us. And because of that, we're able to do what we do for you guys. If you like the show, really appreciate it. Subscribe, we treat, tell everybody. Tell them about Blue Apron as well, because it's the #1 fresh ingredient and recipe delivery service in the entire country. America is pretty big, Jeff, in case you did not realize that. Pretty big place. So their mission is basically to make incredible home cooking accessible to everybody. It achieves this by supporting a more sustainable food system, setting the highest standards for their ingredients, and building a community of home chefs. Did you know that they established partnerships with over 150 local farms, fisheries, and ranchers across America? Obviously, American jobs are really important right now. Seafood is sourced sustainably, which is really, really important right now, under standards developed in partnership with the Monterey Bay Aquarium Seafood Watch, which is a hugely important program. So what does it do? It basically, cooking together builds strong family bonds. Research shows that the Blue Apron families cook nearly 3 times more often than families that don't use Blue Apron. And those who spend a lot in restaurants or at high-end grocery chains can now spend under $10 per person for a delicious meal. Obviously, if you eat out a lot, you'll know what a good bargain that is.
I do.
Okay, so it's affordable. For less than $10 a person per meal, Blue Apron delivers seasonal recipes. So none of this like, you can have it all year round. It does change as the seasons do with the food, with pre-portioned ingredients, which means that also the waste is minimal. It's easy, it's flexible, it's guaranteed. Their freshness guarantee promises that every single ingredient in your delivery arrives ready to cook, or they will make it right. There's none of this like half-rotten tomatoes. None of that shit. Everything that arrives at your house is good to go. So, what do? You want to get on board with this, obviously, because it's delicious and movies and food go well together. You can check out this week's menu and get your first 3 meals free with free shipping. 2 frees. Really important. Not paying for that. By going to blueapron.com/meat. MEET. Not meat as in how much meat did I eat last night? I smell like brisket. Blueapron.com/meat. That's blueapron.com/meat. MEET.
Wonderful. And with that,
let's talk about some more movies.
let's talk about The Fate of the Furious.
Yes, I did not see this, unfortunately.
Holy shit,
week.
really?
Yeah.
What were you doing last night? You couldn't go see an 8 o'clock show?
Well, I was eating meat.
Yeah.
This is Hollywood. That sounded quite rude, actually. But yeah, no, I was going to go to a screening this week, but on Tuesday night I went to Sneider.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Good for you.
Isn't that great?
I saw this back at CinemaCon. I guess now I can talk about it.
I think you can.
First of all, let's give it up to Universal for this publicity push,
Yeah.
because this movie has been everywhere.
Saturation, they
Yes,
call it.
they definitely did their job. I loved. Did you? I was like impressed and horrified by Bloomberg's statistics thing. Did you see that?
I did not see that.
It was unbelievable. I don't know how many reporters they had watching all 7 Fast and Furious movies, but they did like detailed graphs for
If
like
you're at
just like
Bloomberg-
shit nobody needs to know.
Yeah.
Nobody cares about.
That's not a shit day at the Bloomberg office.
It was just like, this is what
Hey,
you're
Brian.
devoting all this journalistic energy to. It was hilarious.
Good content.
Bill Simmons had Neil Moritz on his podcast.
Yes.
That was an illuminating chat. There was a lot of interesting stuff. Ringer had a great package for Fate of the Furious, including why Corona is like the official drink of the franchise, even though there's no money exchanging hands. Like,
Okay.
You know, they're not paying to be in the movie. Universal's not paying them for the
Interesting.
right to use the brand. Yeah. I don't know. A lot of interesting stuff out there about Fate of the Furious. Did you see that the Wrap had a great story from Umberto Gonzalez about filming a tag with Dwayne Johnson and Jason Statham?
Yeah.
And they didn't tell Vin Diesel about it, and when he found out, he flipped
Lost his
out.
shit, yeah.
And Universal had to recall Prince. Like, that is money. That is, when you're recalling Prince and having to send them back out again, that's a different thing.
Also, apparently that sequence is absolute badass. It was going to lead to a possible spin-off or something else. I would love to see those guys going head-to-head, kicking lumps out of each other.
So
I would love to see that.
That scene in Fate of the Furious, which, again, I thought was okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's entertaining to watch. It's too long, and it's felt very familiar. It lacked a certain something. It lacked some magic without Paul Walker. It really did feel a little familiar. But again, still better than a lot of shitty tentpole movies that we see.
Yeah, and it's just meant to be dumb fun. I mean,
and it is very dumb, and it is fun. So the scene with Dwayne and Jason Statham is actually really good.
Cool.
And I can see how there are rumors or internal discussions. Hey, should we be spinning this off, these two guys?
Yeah.
But anyway, so
and that would not hurt Statham. I mean, as much as I love Jason Statham, a lot of his movies have not really done box office in the way that they potentially should have done.
Yeah, no, I mean, he's an international
They've done okay.
player.
Yeah, I mean, people would go and see that in droves.
But yeah, it's. I understand if you're Vin Diesel and you're the creative steward of this franchise or whatever with Chris Morgan, and you're the face of the franchise now with Paul Walker gone, and you find out about this.
But is he now the face of the franchise? Because I think The Rock is now the face of the franchise for Fast and Furious, which I think is where some of the rub comes from.
I mean, yes, that is true, but Vin is still the face of the franchise. He just is.
But you see, I mean, as much as I love Vin Diesel and I do enjoy the Fast and Furious movies, I think they're massive fun. I think it's The Rock that's bringing people, not Vin Diesel. I don't think he's when you compare what the draw is. I think they
love
enjoy
him
Vin Diesel.
Adds Dom Toretto. They love him in this character. The Rock. Because he's in so many things, I don't think that Fast belongs to him because he belongs to so many different properties.
Yeah,
if you know what I'm saying. Like Vin Diesel is so closely associated with this one. Anyway, so it's like that rap story though, and I'm not going to get into specifics.
But apparently we're going to see it on the home entertainment release now. Apparently we're going to see that as like an extra.
No idea. It really was just the tip of the iceberg regarding some of the rumors that I've heard about the behind the scenes on this movie. And I guess what's crazy is just like I actually talked to several colleagues at CinemaCon about sort of what I'd heard, and I don't even think that I could get away with reporting it as a white reporter. I think that people would put a racial connotation on a sort of like behind the scenes story, and it wouldn't even go over well, which I think speaks to a lot to the the climate in this country. Where a reporter's race is going to sort of dictate how his story is received and that kind of thing. But anyways, I'm not here to speculate about that kind of shit in public, so I'm not going to talk about it. What we can talk about is another project with a ton of drama. Before we pivot, and we're going to pivot to Triple Frontier over at Paramount.
Yeah.
Why don't you talk about the box office for Fate of the Furious, because it's not quite doing as well as Furious 7.
No, I mean the Thursday night previews it did 10.4 million, and Fast 7 did 15.8. So it's. It's a little bit behind at the moment. I mean, they're still looking at it doing 100 million for the weekend domestic, which is fine. 280 million worldwide.
Yeah, I mean they're still in good shape.
Yeah, it's far from being a flop.
Yeah.
I mean, when you think that Kong is 500 million for its run, and this is going to take over half of that likely globally. But it does Fast and Furious. I did a piece for Forbes on this, and I'm going to be revisiting it in a slightly different angle on Monday, when we know the box office for this. The majority of the box office for this, like many franchises, actually comes from overseas.
Yes.
So if it doesn't have a monster, I mean, still, 10.4 million is not to be sniffed at for previews, and certainly 100 million is not a
Yeah, of
shitty
course.
opening weekend. It's a solid weekend. But a lot of that, I think it was the last one, was 70-something% was actually non-domestic box office. Only generally 30 to 45% is actually made within the US. So it's looking at that. I mean, the last one did, 353 million domestic through its entire run, which was 1.5 billion worldwide. So it's going to... I'm going to put $20 on the table now and say it's going to make $1 billion.
See, that's what I think.
I think it's going to make $1 billion, maybe 1.2, 1.1.
Right. 1.1 is exactly what I was
Yeah.
going to guess. If you look at the domestic opening last night, just 10 compared to 15, you're looking at 2/3, right?
Yeah.
2/3 of 1.5 billion is $1 billion, and probably be a little bit higher. So
And it's what a
1.1.
lot of other studios would literally, they would sell a kidney.
Yeah, but
to get an opening
I
that
don't
strong.
think that this will reach the heights of Furious 7. I don't think it'll hit 1.5. So, still a win, one in the win column for Universal, especially given all the drama that happened with this.
And they've got a couple of other movies coming out this, sort of heading into the summer, like Despicable Me 3, which is probably going to be, quite easily again.
Universal's poised for a big year. They have,
Yeah,
they have
it's
a big
gonna be-
slate.
that's
The
gonna be
Mummy,
$1 billion
I'm
movie.
really excited for The Mummy, not just as a Tom Cruise guy, but as someone who wants to believe in that universe.
Yeah.
Which we're also going to talk about later. But real quickly, for
I am gonna
Fate of
pay and go and
Furious,
see that this weekend,
I'll
so.
leave you on with this little note, just
Okay.
like who's going to direct Part 9. I was asking a source, sort of like, hey, who's going to star in Part 9? Who's going to be like the new cast edition, that kind of stuff? And they were like, that's not the question you should be asking. You should be asking who's going to direct this movie.
I think they're going to bring back Justin Lin.
Yeah,
I think so.
they could.
'Cause
But
he's-
I don't think F. Gary Gray will be back.
No, I don't think so. I think Justin Lin. I think possibly I'd like to see James Wan.
He's
At the
I
helm.
mean, he seems a little busy.
He seems a little busy, but we're not going to see another Fast and Furious going into production for probably a year. I think then he'll be finished on Aquaman. I think
And I don't think James Wan will be coming back either.
John McTiernan.
John McTiernan is still very available, though, Universal.
But would you like to see someone with, I mean, and I don't mean this in a disrespectful way, but someone with a bit more gravitas come in and do this? The likes of a Ben Affleck or a Matt Reeves or a someone else. Because I think the biggest
No.
flaw in the Fast and Furious movie is sometimes when the movies aren't as good as the other entries in the franchise, it's down to character. Set pieces, they've got that shit nailed. That's not a problem with that area. But I think it's the character and the chemistry and the interaction. And I think if there are struggles within the casting and you want that to go away, I think you need someone who's going to build a really strong character. So maybe you do need someone like a Matt Reeves or a Ben Affleck to bring out that kind of character thing.
Yeah, and I think this franchise, it has thrived embracing its stupidity, kind of, and how ridiculous it has become, and it has become ridiculous. It is now venturing into James Bond territory.
Yeah. I think it needs a little bit of a reset.
Yeah, I guess, I don't know.
A little bit of a...
But I think someone like Ruben Fleischer would be fine doing this. I don't think it needs someone nearly as talented as Matt Reeves or Ben Affleck. I
Ryan
think
Johnson?
he's not coming in to do Fast and Furious
Robert
9,
Redford.
bro. I say that after he did Star Wars 8. I'm like, why would he do Fast
Why
9?
would he do that?
Yeah, I think Ruben Fleischer would be fine.
Bill
for something
Condon?
like this. No. Bill Condon?
Yeah.
Oh, you want to move on?
No, I was going to say, no, we will move on to what he's going to, be working on next, but I think he might...
Bill Condon doing a Fast and Furious movie?
Why
No.
not?
No.
People
no,
said that when he
no.
took on Beauty and the Beast.
No, they didn't. I don't think they did.
I
He had
think
done Dreamgirls, so that actually made sense.
needs more musical.
Anyways, Bill Condon is doing Bride of Frankenstein
is,
up
yeah.
at Universal for their Classic Monsters universe. That, I think, is a good hire. Now, while I would have loved to have seen Universal hire a female filmmaker
Yeah.
for Bride of Frankenstein, a lot of good female horror directors out there. Condon actually makes sense. He has deep roots in horror. He directed
Yep.
Gods and Monsters, which is about James Whale, who directed Frankenstein and Bride
great
of
movie. If you
Frankenstein.
haven't seen that, you should really check that out.
Yeah.
Brendan Fraser is good in it,
and he
you
did-
don't say that very often.
And he did he did the Candyman sequel. He did Candyman 2, Farewell to the Flesh. So Condon goes way back with this genre, and I actually think he's a really good fit, especially as Beauty and the Beast crosses $1 billion worldwide. You can count on his movies to make money. He also did the last two Twilight films.
Two good suggestions going back to Fast and Furious.
What?
Mel Gibson, he wouldn't do it, but not a bad.
Oh my God.
Not a ridiculous. And James Gunn. I mean, obviously James is busy, but Scott Derrickson.
I don't see any of these guys. No. The
John McTiernan.
no. The Fast franchise is not for someone who has already done those big movies.
Branagh.
And so this is another big franchise, and it makes sense. And no. This is for someone who's like on the way up and wants to be one of those directors.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jordan Peele.
No.
I'm just naming people now.
The
Directors that I know.
The Jordan, like, you know,
Scorsese.
remember that Warner Brothers story that
Yeah.
I've said that Warner Brothers really wants to be in business with Jordan Peele.
Yeah.
Akira, The Flash. They're looking at a whole bunch of things for him.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot that one of them was Uptown Saturday Night.
Ooh.
Do you know that movie?
Yeah.
Yeah, they were going to have, Denzel and Will Smith do it, and it was going to be Adam McKay directing.
Wow.
I'm pretty sure, McKay has moved on at this point. They would love to get Jordan Peele directing a movie like that.
That would be awesome.
I don't know if Will Smith is still on board, though. I think it might just be Denzel. But with Jordan Peele, what if, like, it was Jordan Peele directing himself and Denzel? Dude, how do you turn down that opportunity?
That would be awesome.
That would be
I would
really
watch
funny.
that.
And that's right in his wheelhouse. That's like an old school comedy with what? Bill Cosby and who was the other one? I forget. Anyways,
I can't remember, but yeah, that's a great movie. That was so good.
So that was we talked about Bill Conlon doing Bride of Frankenstein. Good hire for Universal there. Paramount, Triple Frontier. Let's back it up.
Okay, cool.
A lot of drama around this movie. J.C. Chandor was a month away from going into production with Tom Hardy, Channing Tatum, and Mahershala Ali. That's a pretty bankable cast, Channing and Tom Hardy. And Paramount pulled the plug, weeks after Jim Giannopoulos takes over the studio. Apparently it had to do with script changes that J.C. Chandor had done that Hardy was not receptive to.
Okay.
Although I'm not sure if Hardy asked for those changes and then the studio was like, what the fuck is this? I'm not sure how it all went down. Getting, I guess, some conflicting reports there, but kind of a bummer. This is a Mark Bowl script, Oscar-winning writer.
And that's a pairing I would have genuinely liked to have seen on the screen.
Hardy and Channing.
I would have really, really had fun with that.
It sounds super cool. I don't know what the movie's actually about. I just know where it's set, Triple Frontier, like, on the tri-border area, but I never got, like, the hook.
No.
Like, what is this, like, who are they playing? Like, what are they up
But
against?
I think with the casting, it's one of those movies where I think the audience would just get on board because of the two leading men.
You would think so.
Yeah, I would have thought so. I would be curious to find out exactly what happened with that, because usually when it comes down to writing, they can find some way of getting around that.
How bad was this script? Yeah.
But it can't have been that bad, because these guys wouldn't jump on a script that was really, really bad. Do you know what I mean?
But maybe they jumped
JC
on the Mark
wouldn't-
Bowl script, and then J.C. Chandor came on and rewrote it. I don't understand what happened. But again, that already happened to J.C. on Deepwater Horizon. I was a big fan of A Most Violent Year, but I didn't. And I guess I liked Margin Call, and I don't think it was nearly as great as everybody said.
No, it was a good drama.
And I didn't love All Is Lost either, the Redford movie. So I'm like mixed on JC. He's a nice guy, and I hope that this movie comes back together. He moves on to something cool, but I guess it's better for Paramount to speak up now, or for the stars to speak up now than have shit go down during production.
Yeah. A couple of other things. We were talking about box office earlier for Fate of the Furious. This week, apparently, it's quite early because we're like three or 4 weeks out from it opening. But Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 is looking at $150 million for an opening weekend.
Woo! It's way higher than the original's $94 million, right?
Yeah, considerably higher. Captain America: Civil War was $179 million, I think. I think Guardians could do upwards of 150.
Yeah, tracking is always low.
Yeah, I would say I think it's easily going to touch 175 million, possibly 180, because anticipation for this film is so good, and people obviously they love the first one. A lot of people went to see that, repeatedly, which was great. Yeah. And people have really got an affinity with the characters, and there's been a lot of talk around it, and they've obviously added to that with like the likes of Kurt Russell. So I think you're gonna add a bit of heritage audience to that as well. I think 150, as you say, is a little bit low right now. I'm going to go
170.
175, 180 possibly as well, which is great.
Okay, elsewhere. We got 3 minutes left. One of them I want to spend talking about Detroit, but quick news hits. It looks like there could be an animated Watchmen movie on the horizon, similar to how Warner Brothers did The Killing Joke. Donald Sutherland took the lead in Danny Boyle's FX miniseries Trust.
I saw you got very excited about that on Twitter.
Yeah, love Donald Sutherland. Sylvester Stallone coming back for Escape Plan 3, which I'd heard about a while ago.
I didn't love Escape Plan, and I know they're making the sequel at the moment.
It's very
that's currently
different. I
being
mean,
filmed.
Schwarzenegger's not in it. It's, these are cheapo plays.
Yeah.
But, they do well overseas or whatever.
Yeah.
Miles Teller joining Shailene Woodley in Adrift. The clock just disappeared on us. On the screen.
Man.
Netflix picked up Noah Baumbach's new movie, The Meyerowitz Stories.
Yeah.
Don Cheadle is producing and starring in Prince of Darkness. Edgar Wright's Grasshopper Jungle hopping over to New Regency. Robert Duvall joining Steve McQueen's Widows. Really exciting cast shaping up on that movie. Benedict Cumberbatch joining the Man in the Rockefeller Suit.
I saw that.
At Fox Searchlight. That sounds like it could be a really interesting role. Hugo Weaving reteaming with Peter Jackson on Mortal Engines.
I do
Peter
like
Jackson's
that.
just producing this movie. You would think that he's directing from all the way that his name has just been stamped on it. But, Michael Ballhaus died. The
I saw that.
cinematographer of
Yeah.
Goodfellas. I mean, that's one of the great shots.
Yeah.
Like the long tracking shot.
Oh, it's
through
one of the
Copa.
probably one of the most talked about in cinema history. I think is up there.
Yeah. Ron Howard directing Hillbilly Elegy. What?
I love Ron Howard, but his directing work of late has been a little bit.
It's left something to be desired, and I don't think
Yeah.
that this is a project that's going to get him
No.
back on firm footing. He loves these kinds of movies. Like, I feel like he was developing like East of Eden maybe at one point, or maybe that was Gary Ross. Maybe he was just producing. I always forget with Imagine, but I don't know. Like Ron Howard, get back to like fucking Backdraft and Apollo 13 and Ransom. Like, man, you're one of the greats, and his selection hasn't been.
It has not been that strong. For me, he's kind of in that place where Clint Eastwood was for a few years, where he's obviously making movies that he wants to make, but they don't turn out to be great movies, and then he slams it back in with Sully, which I thought was an absolutely great movie.
Yeah.
Really, really solid. Great filmmaking, great cast. I do want to see him sort of go back to that kind of thing.
Sarah Polley signed on to do this movie, The Best Kind of People, about like a family, and the dad is accused of a sex crime. He's a teacher.
Okay.
And it like tears the family apart. That sounds really interesting. I'm a big fan of hers. Did you see her Stories We Tell? The
No,
documentary?
I didn't.
Okay.
I heard great things about it, though.
Did you see the trailer for Wizard of Lies? The HBO movie, the Bernie Madoff movie?
Yes, I did, yeah.
Dude, De Niro. He's back, baby.
Absolutely.
Thank fucking God.
That means we're not going to get, like, Dirty Grandpa 2, though.
He looks so great in this HBO movie. I am super pumped for it. Did you watch the Hitman's Bodyguard trailer?
I did.
What'd you think?
I think it'll be fun. I think it's very much like a tick box. It's like bingo for the fans of both guys. It's got, Ryan Reynolds wisecracking, and it's got Samuel L. Jackson saying motherfucker a lot. Yeah. And I'm kind of like, yeah, it's like...
That sounds like a formula for success.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it's a great idea on paper. I would like to see if the film maintains the momentum that the trailer promises, rather than it just being like, hit, set piece.
Lionsgate is very confident in this movie. They showed it to everybody at CinemaCon way before, it opens in like late August.
Yeah.
I watched it and bailed halfway through just because, it felt familiar to me, and I was like, it's not that I didn't enjoy what I was watching.
Yeah.
I just wanted to go do something else and get out of that theater. I'll pick it up on a lazy Sunday with my roommate. We'll totally watch this.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be something. I mean, it's quite a strong summer when it comes to blockbusters this year. So I hope it doesn't get lost in the quagmire, kind of get buried in that heavy end of summer release schedule where they just kind of shove stuff out.
Yeah, I mean,
I think it's going to be a movie it's going to be successful. It's definitely going to have an audience. I think we're not looking at $1 billion movie. We're looking at about 650, 700, I think, potentially, maybe a bit lower than that. Yeah, I think at where it's placed.
What'd you say?
650
For what?
for that.
650
million.
For the Hitman's Bodyguard?
I think it's going to be in that region, because I think no. And here's why. Do you not think so?
Are you smoking weed, dude? Are you high?
No.
The Hitman's Bodyguard is going to make $650 million?
I think something in that region, possibly a bit lower.
Bro, it'll be lucky to make $100 million.
Do you think so? Really, that low?
Yes. I think it'll be lucky to clear $100 million. I see it at $150 tops.
Okay.
$650 million.
Okay, so
bro.
you're gonna say 150. I'm gonna say 650. Let's find out who's closer when that opens.
No problem. You owe me breakfast. After
We are talking like
we're gonna bet at
total-
breakfast. We're gonna bet at breakfast.
Okay, we're gonna bet at
global.
breakfast.
No problem. That's
Okay,
a bet.
cool.
I'll spot. Oh my god. I'll give you 350. I bet you I'll still be closer.
Okay.
Anyways,
I'm looking forward to my breakfast.
the last trailer, Detroit.
Nom, nom, nom.
Detroit trailer.
Yeah.
This looks fucking awesome.
It does. It looks really, really good. I was quite surprised, actually.
Really?
Yeah, I was quite surprised.
Bigelow?
It wasn't kind of what I was expecting in tone.
It was pretty intense.
It's
It
very
was a nail
intense.
biter.
Yeah. I was expecting it to go kind of more action movie than drama action. I was kind of expecting it to go that bent, but
I loved the line where like Boyega gives the white cops his coffee, and the guy's like, "You bring any sugar?" And he's just
Yeah, I was
like, "Don't fucking push it, man.
Yeah.
Don't you fucking push it."
Boyega's got a strong year this year.
Yeah, I'll say
Really strong year.
I'm looking forward to The Circle, but no invite
Yeah.
yet. No invite.
No,
It's
I've
mid-April.
heard nothing on
Movie
that.
opens end April. You don't want me to see the movie? I don't understand this.
It's a great cast. Great cast.
Detroit.
Which studio is that?
STX.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not gonna beg for invites. Like, you know,
You just kind of did.
Jesus Christ.
It's fine.
Detroit. The one thing that threw me off, Will Poulter.
Yes.
Looks a little young for what that role seems
I
to
thought
be.
the same thing.
I was like, he's talking all tough there at the end. I'm like, you're like a 20-year-old kid, right?
I really enjoy Will in movies. I don't buy him in a role like that.
So the interesting thing about that
Yeah.
is that I was told that Will Poulter, I want to put this delicately,
Okay.
he was cast in a different role in that movie, and I heard it wasn't going well, and they reshot like 2 or 3 days on this movie.
Wow.
I was told that they went back and they recast the role and just moved him to something else. At first, I'd heard that he like got fired and like sent home. That is not the case, obviously, since we saw him in the trailer. But yeah, they did change the role that he is playing. We'll see if it works out. I'm not sure who. I'd have to look at the cast list to see who replaced him. But maybe he was like, maybe he's caught in that interesting place where he's a little too old to be playing like maybe the young people in the film.
Yeah.
Maybe he stood out as too mature or whatever, but he still seemed a little too young to play like an adult cop, which is he seemed like the negotiator.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
He also doesn't look grizzly enough. You know, he doesn't look grizzled.
No, he's a young kid.
Yeah. He needs some more hard
He has a
knocks.
very bright career ahead of him. It would have been cool to see his take on Pennywise and It, but
Yeah.
you can't argue with
Didn't
the
happen.
results so far
Super
with
psyched for that
Bill
movie for
Skarsgård.
It.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And finally, Cannes. You know, I wish I was going to Cannes this year. I think the lineup looks really great, and it looks like they did run with that Nicole Kidman World Cup because she has 4 things at the festival. 4. That's a lot,
It's a lot of movies,
but she's doing great work.
which is good to see.
Yeah, $650.
I'm looking forward to my breakfast.
You're wild. I think that'll probably do it for us on
Yeah.
Meet the Movie
Everyone else
Press
thinks
this
I'm
week.
wrong as well, by the way.
Yeah,
Everyone else thinks I'm wrong.
You're whatever you're smoking.
It's a lot of
I
breakfast.
definitely want some of it. I look forward to some yummy bacon. Simon, where can the good folks find you?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Showbiz Simon. Also have a Facebook page.
Phage.
A phage. It's like a page, but with an F. This is Simon Thompson.
And I am at the Sneider on Twitter and
You
Instagram, the editor-in-chief of the Tracking Board, tracking-board.com. Please go over there. We have a lot of fun stuff going on. Thanks for watching the Popcorn Talk Network.
Indeed. Some people say to me on the comment section after the show, is like, why don't more people watch the show? Well, you can do your bit
tell
by
your friends.
telling everybody about
Rate,
it.
comment, subscribe, do
Yeah.
all that stuff. And also check me out on the Free-For-All, the Movie Trivia Schmodown Free-For-All over on Collider Video this afternoon.
And check out blueapron.com/meet
Blue Apron!
MEET.
Have a good weekend.
Thank you.
From producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, Christian Harloff, and the entire Popcorn Talk Network, we would like to thank you for tuning in. For questions or comments, be sure to visit popcorntalk.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of the Popcorn Talk Network.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of its owners or principals.